Welcome back to Zalengam Media. Today in this episode, we will discuss Middle East crisis, the story of Israel's state formation and Muslim opposition, origins, conflicts, and complexities. Introduction. The formation of the modern state of Israel in 1948 marked one of the most significant and controversial events of the 20th century. Its establishment not only created a homeland for the Jewish people, but also ignited a protracted and deeply rooted conflict with many Muslim-majority countries. A conflict that persists to this day. Despite sharing similar Abrahamic roots, the hostility between Israel and many Muslim nations has been driven by a complex mix of historical, religious, political, and territorial disputes. This essay will explore the story of Israel's creation, the roots of Muslim opposition to it, and the reasons why shared religious origins have not prevented violent and persistent conflict. The birth of Israel, historical context, Jewish diaspora, and Zionism. The Jewish connection to the land of Israel, historically known as Canaan, Judea, or Palestine, dates back thousands of years. However, due to centuries of conquest, exile, and persecution, most notably the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE, Jews were dispersed across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. This diaspora led to a longing for return, known as the yearning for Zion. By the late 19th century, amid growing anti-Semitism in Europe and nationalist movements globally, this spiritual yearning evolved into a political movement known as Zionism, led by figures like Theodor Herzl. The Zionists sought the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, then part of the Ottoman Empire. The British Mandate and the Balfour Declaration. After World War I, Britain gained control of Palestine under a League of Nations mandate. In 1917, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration, expressing support for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, while also stating that nothing should prejudice the rights of existing non-Jewish communities. This declaration intensified Jewish immigration to Palestine, alarming the Arab population, who saw their land increasingly populated by foreigners with a goal of forming a Jewish state. Tensions escalated into sporadic violence throughout the 1920s and 1930s. The Holocaust and international support. The atrocities of the Holocaust during World War II, in which 6 million Jews were murdered by Nazi Germany, galvanized global sympathy for the Zionist cause. The horrors underscored the need for a secure homeland for Jews who had faced centuries of persecution. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a partition plan that would divide Palestine into 2 states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem under international administration. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan, the Arab leadership rejected it, arguing that it violated the rights of the Arab majority population. The Declaration of Independence and the First Arab-Israeli War. On May 14, 1948, Israel declared independence. The very next day, armies from 5 Arab nations, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq invaded, leading to the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, known to Israelis as the War of Independence and to Palestinians as the Nakba, or catastrophe. Israel survived the war and even expanded its territory beyond the UN partition borders. More than 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled during the conflict, creating a massive refugee crisis. This initial war set the tone for decades of conflict and entrenched hostility between Israel and the Muslim world. The Muslim world's opposition to Israel, the Palestinian cause. At the heart of Muslim opposition to Israel is the Palestinian issue. Most Muslim nations view the establishment of Israel as an illegal occupation and the displacement of the Palestinian people as an injustice. The refusal of many Arab and Muslim states to recognize Israel stemmed from solidarity with the Palestinians and rejection of what they saw as a Western-imposed solution. Palestinians were not offered self-determination after World War II. Their land was divided and occupied, first by Israel and later by Jordan, which annexed the West Bank, and Egypt, which controlled Gaza. This lack of a sovereign Palestinian state remains a central grievance. Religious significance of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a sacred city for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. For Muslims, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount, Haram al-Sharif, are third only to Mecca and Medina in holiness. Many Muslims view Israeli control over East Jerusalem, especially since the Six-Day War of 1967, as a desecration of their holy sites and a humiliation for the Islamic world. The struggle for control over Jerusalem has been a continuous flashpoint for violent confrontations, protests, and diplomatic conflicts. Colonial legacy and Western support. Many Muslims see Israel as a colonial outpost of the West, established with the help of Britain and later supported heavily by the United States. The Western powers' role in creating Israel and their ongoing military, economic, and diplomatic support have contributed to resentment, seen as part of a broader pattern of Western domination and interference in the Middle East. Repeated wars and hostilities. Several major wars have defined the deepening animosity. 1948, Arab-Israeli War, resulting in Israel's establishment and Palestinian displacement. 1956, Suez Crisis, involving Egypt, Israel, Britain, and France. 1967, Six-Day War. Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, and Golan Heights. 1973, Yom Kippur War. Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack, leading to heavy refugees and humanitarian crises. The displacement of Palestinians has led to generations of refugees living in camps across Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Gaza. The dire conditions of these camps and the lack of resolution fuel anti-Israel sentiments across the Muslim world. Palestinian refugees symbolize for many Muslims a broader injustice and occupation. Why shared religious roots did not prevent conflict. Common Abrahamic origins. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all trace their spiritual lineage to Abraham. They share many prophets, stories, ethical teachings, and reverence for Jerusalem. Despite this shared origin, theological differences, historical developments, and political power struggles have often overshadowed common ground, diverging theological claims. While Judaism and Islam both revere Abraham, their views diverge over his descendants. Jews trace their lineage through Isaac, while Muslims trace theirs through Ishmael. This distinction contributes to different claims over the land, traditionally seen as the Promised Land. Furthermore, Islam recognizes Jesus and Moses as prophets, but not as divine or as fulfilling the same roles as in Christianity and Judaism. These doctrinal differences create separate religious narratives that underpin each group's historical claims to the Holy Land. Politics over religion. Although religion plays a role, much of the conflict is driven more by political nationalism, territorial claims, and colonial legacies than purely by theology. The Muslim world's opposition to Israel has been primarily political, rooted in the perception of injustice, occupation, and foreign intervention. Even Christian-majority nations, like many in Europe, have often criticized Israeli policies despite the religious connections between Christianity and Judaism. This highlights that political realities often supersede shared religious traditions. The evolving landscape attempts at peace and normalization. Peace treaties. Despite decades of conflict, some breakthroughs have occurred. Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty, 1979. Egypt became the first Arab country to officially recognize Israel after intense US mediation. Jordan-Israel Peace Treaty, 1994. Jordan followed suit, recognizing Israel and establishing diplomatic ties. The Abraham Accords, 2020. Several Muslim-majority nations, including the UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco, normalized relations with Israel, breaking decades of consensus among Arab states. These agreements reflect shifting geopolitical interests, especially concerns over Iran's regional ambitions, economic benefits of cooperation, and changing domestic priorities. Thank you for watching. Please do share this video. Also subscribe to our channel Zalengam Media